The stern face of Tony Rowe, the chairman and the chief executive, who's had plenty to say about what's been happening over the last few months. But amongst the Chiefs supporters, one or two even clapping, and certainly that's what I've been hearing from Saracens fans here this weekend. One or two sticks of celery doing the rounds, as we've got used to over the last few weeks or so, but that was not as raucous as it might have been. A rugby welcome to Saracens, and a rugby welcome is what these two will be hoping to deliver on the pitch. The club have decided over recent times that they will include Premiership and European games as qualification for the Centurion club. So Luke Cowan-Dickey and Jack Knoll with his young daughter Norrie will walk out together to celebrate that rather exclusive membership. And here come their mates, led by Dave Dennis. Dennis, the latest, and a line of distinguished chief captains over the last 9-10 years. You may remember Tom Hayes, the first to lead this side out in the Premiership. That game against Gloucester all those years ago. Jack Knoll wasn't part of that team. Nobody starting today was part of that team. Wayne Barnes in charge. He needs no history lesson. Looked after all three of Saracens' finals wins, those wins against Exeter. And the last words at the end of a Premiership year, a Premiership decade shared by a couple of clubs who've come to dominate it. Exeter and Saracens in the twilight of 2019, the game of the season so far. And the first take claimed by Max Malins, one of those young Saracens thrusters really starting to make a name for himself for the first time this season. Mako Vunipola we've known about for a little longer.
Use it!
Ben Spencer continuing to keep Richard Wigglesworth on the bench, and Hogg comes forward to try to claim it. Didn't do it cleanly.
I think that's going to be key for Saracens, just making sure the accuracy of the kicking game is good from Spencer in particular, but they don't want to give this man time to land with grass in front of him, that he can use his footwork. Vital that as he's catching the ball, he's meeting that red wall.
Plenty of chat, Mo, that he's the missing link in this Chiefs side this season. He's the man who provides that spark, that little bit of stardust that will take them to titles.
Yeah, je ne sais quoi, definitely. He's lit up, hasn't he, Glasgow Warriors previously, and definitely something that they're looking to get that spark and that link between that electric wingers as well.
So for the first time, head to head, ear to ear, shoulder to shoulder in the scrum.
Balance, please.
And the Chiefs just a little bit over eager. Front row of Alec Hepburn, Luke Cowan-Dickey and Harry Williams today, all familiar.
Good refereeing that from Wayne Barnes, just a short arm free kick rather than the full penalty, but setting the scene that he's not going to put up with any messing around, and resets at the scrum.
High ball confidently diffused by Ollie Woodburn. Here's Cowan-Dickey, played his part in all four of Chiefs' Premiership finals.
Back you go. Let go, both of you.
Nick Ezekwe trying to cause some mischief by climbing over the top. Johnny Hill. Oh, was that knocked on? Oh, dear me. Nick White might count himself a little bit fortunate there.
It's distracted him anyway. Well, it must be really difficult when you're looking at where you're going to kick it and the foot moves at the last minute. Skelton doing a good job there.
That is the worst thing that can happen at the back of a ruck, especially by your own teammate. There's nothing that he can do about that. You expect them to just stay nice and still, but fair play to Saracens trying to disrupt that. Both teams trying to employ this kicking territory thing straight away.
England scrum half Mo Hunt with us up in the Sandy Park Erie today, watching this one and watching Spencer and Kerr, shipped up by Brad Barrett, not for the first time today, surely. Likewise for Billy Vunipola. Saracens playing some first serious notes of their afternoon. Itoje, who was absolutely obliterated Cowan Dickey. Quickly back on his feet, however, the hooker, Jamie George, the latest to give it a go. Spencer whips it back to Skelton, to Vunipola, nicely done, and the other Vunipola now wrestling his way towards the line.
Okay, nice engage. Now let him go.
Chiefs scored a try after 27 seconds in the final back in June. Saracens, for the time being, will have to wait for their first score. That was all a little bit loose, and Vunipola couldn't control it, and Nick White, with a little bit more solidity, gets a wonderful clearance up to halfway.
It's a great kick, but Billy Vunipola would wish that Ben Spencer's passing was as accurate as his. Look how he puts this into space for Spencer. That means they're running, they're already over the gain line. And then just a little offload, dragging in 3 players, what he does better than anyone else, pull in extra defenders, so that the next collision's going to be won by his team. And to be fair, it wasn't Spencer, it was Jackson Ray with the loose pass behind Billy.
Saracens' bellwether, when he plays well, they tend to play well. Jamie George wrapping back round to involve himself in this maul. Spencer ready to take it from his side pocket. George not ready to give it to him. Throws it back to Vunipola. Well, Luke Cowan-Dickey's in there, and he's being given every encouragement to try and win it back, but not quite quick enough. The gold line, the gain line. Saracens playing on it, now bursting through it via Taylor. Farrell back to George.
Backwards.
Oh, Malin's in all sorts of trouble, and White will hack on, and White in a race for the line, and White will gather and score. Not quite as quick as he did at Twickenham in the final, but from a Chiefs perspective, quick enough.
What an unbelievable score. It looked for all money that Maitland was running in treacle then as he was trying to chase him back. But brilliant defensive set from Exeter so far in these opening exchanges. Loose pass from Farrell. Maitland's just tried to grab it with one hand, and just brilliant bit of opportunity stuff. I think Maitland thinks that his winger's coming as well. They both just give up on that chase.
Yeah, I think Mark McCall has come here for his team to play, but they've got to be accurate. 2 loose passes, and it's cost Saracens, who've had all the possession, dearly, and it's lifted this Chiefs and Exeter crowd massively.
Boys on the blue.
4.5 minutes slower than he was in the Twickenham sunshine back in June. Nick White, try after 27 seconds. Well, they're going to miss him when he heads back to Australia at the end of the season. And how about that? Between him and Gareth Steenson in the Gallagher Premiership, they've not missed one yet. This is tough, however, so don't blame me if it doesn't go over. Stiff angle this. Well, if he's judged that, that is a blinder. That is a blinder, riding the wind, the breeze going from right to left off the estuary. They know how to play the conditions down here.
Outstanding kick, but you see Saracens trying to play quite deep, get round that big black wall and make those meters on the outside. But if you're playing deep and you make a mistake, no cover to get you out of jail. And Nick White, just grateful as anyone.
Hogg,
Inside.
not messing around, one bounce. Snaffled by Malins. Alex Good, Liam Williams still both injured. Hearing that Alex Good hopefully playing again before the Six Nations. Liam Williams maybe not quite so quickly back into the breach. Here's Barrett. Farrell.
Forwards wait.
Looking for a little bit of territory, picking out Scotland's fullback.
Use it! Use it!
Farrell positioning himself underneath this. Just got caught up on that swirling breeze and he had to reposition a couple of times. White. Another test for Malins. Man of the match against Bristol last weekend, a couple of tries. Both sides patiently playing this kicking game, waiting for the other to blink first. Maitland rips it up a little. Chiefs fight over the ball, but not quite enough to win it back. Spencer to Farrell, to Malins. Barrett, he's got Taylor outside, but once again, few better Mo at straightening lines than Brad Barrett.
Yeah, he's done that a couple of times already. Just really, they just needed somebody to go hard and direct, and there's no one better in the game at the minute.
On the other side of the ledger, however, Chiefs are making sure that it's a bit of a bun fight for the ball on the floor. Sarries losing meterage.
Which is why Saracens don't want to be playing in this area of the field. We've seen a bit of kick tennis early on, trying to own that middle third of the pitch and make sure both sides want to be
inside,
not trying to play too much in their own 22 and give Exeter in particular a chance to turn them over or get a penalty.
Just give us a sense of the kicking tactics that a scrum half is having to juggle with during the course of a game. When do you kick? When do you pass? What are you thinking of? Oh, hang on, hold that thought, Mo. Line out taken quickly.
Big steal from Mario Itoje in there, Nick.
Yeah, he was holding on, but back you come.
It was swept up by Ezekwe, but it was knocked on in the end, so we can go back to that point.
Contest, but just off your fives, man.
Yeah, for me, it depends if you've got time. If you're in the 22, then obviously you want to be clearing long, generally going to touch. You've seen Exeter a few times. They've obviously employed a tactic. They want to be about 7, 8 metres away from the touchline on this left-hand side because the forwards are coming around the corner when there's no space. Really tight carrying off Nick White and then setting it up for him to kick. But his last box kick for me was just a little bit too long. You want it to hang so that you can get a chase. So, as Ben mentioned earlier, as soon as they're landing, they're being absolutely smashed by those on-rushing players.
Slowly. Crouch. Bind. Set. Wait. We'll have the pen. Both teams. The ball will not come in until this is stable. Please, both teams, hold on, wait on set.
Just a word about the conditions. We've mentioned that it's breezy-ish, as it often is in these parts. It's mild-ish, it's dry-ish, and significantly no hail forecast today.
It's good up till set. Same cadence, nice and slow. Crouch.
Sure, we all know our Sandy Park now, but that wind blowing from right to left generally as we watch off the estuary. Vunipola and Spencer and Farrell. Taylor offered himself. It was Malins, however, furthest wide into a bit of space. That's Jack Noel having to work hard to deal with a ball that was not his friend for a moment.
Inside.
This is Dave Ewers, amongst the try scorers in last season's Twickenham final. Match that for an awful long time looked like it was going the Chiefs' way, certainly when they led by 11 points, but
back you go, back feet,
a record-breaking comeback from that type of deficit, winning it in the end for the Londoners.
To see what a nuisance Skelton is. Every single breakdown where they're trying to set up that box kick, he's pulling people, he's hitting it, counter-rucking, it's making it a nightmare for White.
Brilliant from Malins, and he's charging away. Takes on Hogg, collides with Devoto, and he wins the penalty.
Number 12, use your arm in the tackle.
The run from Max Malins. Game last week, 12. Ben, gave us first real proper glimpse of his potential, and Mark McCall's not one for hyperbole, but he was mentioning him in the same breath as Bowden Barrett, that type of potential with Malins at the moment.
Well, obviously he can play multi-positions. We know that Alex Good's mainly a fullback, but he can play 10 as well, but both of them possess an equally incisive sidestep, so difficult to put down. And every time he's pulled on a Saracens shirt, he's made something happen.
We'll have a look.
Slow
Good
start
kick
to
to
his
this side of the
season.
scrum
He
line.
had a
Exeter
foot
got go
injury,
forward and the ball came out. So.
Yeah,
but he's clearly fully fit now.
nice stability, a lot better
And
on
his
that one.
little jinking run, setting up this position. Farrell will have to drive this through the breeze. It's the devil, that thing that blows off the estuary.
On that box kick again, Nick White's just sent that a little bit too far. Ollie Woodburn has to hold his feet and wait for his mates to join him in that defensive chase, which has just given Maylands too easy a run in, too easy a step.
Atoje being shoved backwards by that black tide, and they've shoved him over the ball. White to Simmons, Sam Simmons. A couple of tries and a dominant display last time out here against Sale. Devoto under a little bit of pressure from Maitland, but he did well to get the ball away to Woodburn, who takes on the mountainous Will Skelton. And it was high. And here goes White.
Yeah, it was high, really good play. You know that Saracens are going to close hard from the outside and try and block off the wide pass. Devoto just hits the brakes, lets them scoot by him, and then throws the ball to Woodburn in a bit of space with the cover coming across, and Skelton a little bit high with the tackle. There we go, just steps inside him, puts the ball out.
On your front man, please.
Skelton probably a little bit worried about the step and the pace of Woodburn. Just tries to get something on him.
That gap, please. Thank you.
I was looking for Dave Dennis, but Ezekwe was there. However, it's still Chiefs' possession taken by Ewers initially.
Tackle, away you come.
Vermeulen waited, it went behind him to again Ewers. White, here's Devoto, tackled by Ray. Woodburn, seeing what he can do on the other side of the
You went
pitch.
off your feet first of all. Good work, one. Thank you.
Hill, behind Noel, and Elliot Daly was up on him quickly. Simmons. White, the other Simmons. He's knocked backwards by Skelton. However, the ball was knocked on, and really a result of the speed of Saracens' defence.
Every little victory being celebrated. But this is great movement from Vermeulen. Runs that tight line in behind. Maybe just blocks off Vunipola slightly. But just that outside runner cutting a line to hold the defenders and try and give the ball behind to a player running into the space that the defenders just stepped out of.
Came in, you walked them forward, and that's perfect. So just get that timing right. Perfect.
The South African has become a regular starter after pitching up from the Sharks in Durban this season.
Just making sure he's on side, just make sure he's on his feet as well and not lying on top of the bodies at these box kicks.
Yeah. Right. Your scrum, okay? Okay, we show we can do it nice and balanced,
painful
nice
memories
and
of last
disciplined.
season's final. He will remember the defeat. He'll also be painfully aware of the ankle injury that at one point threatened his participation in the World Cup, but contributed in Japan, and he's contributing here today.
Same patience and then wait for the ball. Dave John. Patience. And crouch.
I'll get it.
Bind. Set.
Chiefs getting more than a nudge on that. And Vunipola gratefully flings it away to Farrell, who finds Taylor, and now Maitland. Devoto tried to hold on to him. He needed Woodburn to stop him. Skelton.
Number 9's in the way. You're fine. Go. Roll away.
That's Nick White.
I don't want anyone in the way.
Illegally on the floor.
Roll clear, please. 13 perfect, number 9 not so.
White maybe took a bit of a hit there when he tried to hit Skelton. Just a little bit
right,
slow walking away.
Luke, that timing is perfect, mate. And I know that they're under pressure on those last two scrums. Tempo.
Might just need checking there, White. He's not, doesn't look 100% compos mentis. Took a massive hit from Skelton, almost tried to roll out of the way, but went straight back into the trouble and gave away the penalty.
Oh, great work from Hill. Frustrating Ray, and then the loose ball, and Woodburn having to scrabble. And again, another indication that all might not be right with Nick White. You can be absolutely sure that the medics touch side will be looking at the videos.
That patience is good.
Seeing if he needs to head off a head injury assessment. Nothing is left a chance these days, but yeah, deep breaths.
A bit closer. Okay, that's enough. Okay, keep that balance.
He doesn't look so happy, does he? But interesting for me, both teams have lost a line out each. They really do seem to be a lottery. And from both of these teams, you expect them to be nailing that.
Crouch. Bind. Set. Same ball. It's both teams moving.
Free scrum's good. In a moment, and I'm sure Rob wants to see how this scrum works itself out, so let's all do that for the moment.
Crouch.
Some concern this for the Chiefs.
Set.
Defensively on red alert. Saracens scrum. Turns, so Spencer goes that way. Maitland's offering himself. Oh, he couldn't get the ball away because Woodburn was there to block the route. Atoje, again the scrap for the ball on the floor, and brilliantly won. Sam Simmons was at the centre of the fight.
That's a great break off the base from Spencer. The scrum had wheeled that way. It gave him the corridor to run down, takes the back row away, uses his pace, gets on the front foot. Vunipola does the right thing here, not picking and taking that hit, but Ezekwe just sort of seems to trip over and knock the ball forward.
So let's have a natter with Rob Baxter. Rob, you'll be happy enough with the score. Where are the key battles for you at the moment?
Same stability on black ball, please, Ray.
Sorry, the key battles are standards. They're always Saracens. They're everywhere, aren't they? You know, you see the little moments, kind of the ebbs and flows of the game. Obviously, set piece. I'm pleased our set piece is going. We look like we have them under a bit of pressure on their ball, which is good. We've turned the line over, which is good. We look competitive around the breakdown. We've been prepared to put a couple of hard-working defensive sets in. You know, there's a lot of things there that are going okay for us, but that's what you have to continue to do, because once you lose one little battle, that can be a length of the pitch, and that's the key with Saracens. You've got to fight at everything you do, and because they do. And if we keep winning the little fights, then hopefully the big fight, which is the scoreline at the end, is what goes your way.
You've been very comfortable on the ball this season. Again, very happy to hold it, go through the phases. Tactically, kicking-wise, how do you approach this today against Saracens?
As we stand, you probably have to be prepared to kick a bit more against Sarries, because the reality is you can put yourself under pressure by playing, particularly if you don't play well or under-resource things. You just have to be extremely accurate when you play. So, you know, we're likely to kick a little bit more. That's no surprise. Everyone tends to against Saracens, but we're dealing with most of our adjustments pretty well at the moment.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, thank you.
Ball's available.
Making a huge mess.
Ball's available.
Cracks the gap between the jumper and the lifter. And Exeter totally out of control as soon as that happens.
And then Ewers pressurised by Ray. Cowan-Dickey pressurised by Itoje and knocked back by Skelton. Sarries working so hard to maintain that red line at the moment. White kicks over the top of it. Maitland underneath. Straight out on the full, and well, White again just showing signs, Mo, that he's a little bit rattled at the moment.
Yeah, it was a loose pass as well. It was a brilliant pickup, but a bit of a loose pass, and then a player of his quality, you've got to nail those. That's two that he sent straight out. Needs to know his position, sort out his body angles. I know as soon as you kick it over the stand, the wind does catch hold of that ball. It is a difficult place to kick, but you'd expect him to nail those.
Jamie George missed his last line out. Nails the next one, courtesy of Ezekwe. Spencer to Barrett. Billy Vunipola selecting first gear, then second gear. Never got to third because Devoto tackled him. Skelton.
Just turning, looking for Farrell, wasn't he? Normally he's in the pocket there, but he wasn't interested in that one.
Malins involving Daly for the first time in an attacking sense, and they've given it away, and it's hacked away by Joe Simmons, and Farrell has to turn on halfway. And he was hit high as well.
It's the right decision. It's not popular. But probably not late, but certainly doesn't use his arm. Noel, as he comes across, just a shoulder charge. Farrell doesn't make a fuss about it.
Use an arm, please.
But verging on late, but definitely no wrap of the arm.
That's the emotion we were talking about pre-match, isn't it? That's such a silly penalty to give away. In that position, you've got men back in the 22, an amazing counter-attack opportunity. Just keep your head. That's a kick to nothing for Farrell.
Dave, two with no arms.
As a result, Sarahs have gone from halfway, Ben, to within 10 metres with an attacking line-out.
Yeah, shunning the goal kick as well. They think that they've really built some pressure now. They've got a foothold into the game. Obviously, Farrell missed his first kick, so they're going to try and really ramp it up with this drive.
Ray hoisted highest. George rolled round, and then the big heavy mob bring it away. It's going to be a yellow card, and it's going to be for Harry Williams. He's not messing around today, Wayne Bones.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
He sees stuff and he reacts immediately to it. And Exeter, with Harry Williams off for 10 minutes, under even more pressure.
Yeah, but you want a referee that's going to own games like this, don't you? You don't want somebody that's scared to make those kind of decisions, that's scared to reset the scrum or give a free kick on the first scrum because it's not stable. So all credit to him. But what I love about Saracens in this area, they're straight in and they're straight up. There's no time for Exeter to set at all to get their defensive policies in place, and that's the result.
It's absolutely the right call for a yellow because Saracens running towards the line and clearly in an offside position, very cynical.
Again to Ray, and again in that little 5-metre corridor, Mako Vunipola spins away. Ray ready to go with George there and Ezekwe there, and the bionic Wallaby Skelton's there as well. So many threats. Vincent Koch might provide a South African one. Billy Vunipola tried to find him. Chiefs working so hard defensively, and a man down working brilliantly.
Well, it's that famous number 7 Eddie Jones was thinking about picking, Jack Noel, I think, who comes up with this. When you lose a forward, sometimes the backs have to step up and assist the men up front, and he'd be such a popular player for the forwards to have on the field. Jack Noel plays a bit like a forward, big low tackle. You can see Noel hovering in behind, biding his time, targets the ball and holds and wins the penalty.
Whether his daughter Norrie is an expert on the breakdown, but if she is, she'll have enjoyed what Daddy was up to.
She loves the turnover.
Tackle all the way you can, just a tackle.
This is Vermeulen. Saracens have been turning the screw over the last 5-10 minutes, but they still remain scoreless.
And use it.
Again, worth pointing out they are playing into the wind in this first half, however. White tries to use it. Drifting infield, Daly.
As they're setting up that box kick, I'd love to see them spin that out. The Saracens players' defensive line is all starting to drop, expecting the kick, so there's definitely space on that left-hand side.
Use it!
Hogg. Dominating the airwaves.
Not again.
White to Vermeulen. Takes some player to knock Don Ormond out of this Chiefs back row, but Vermeulen's done it this season. Hogg, their new fullback this season. Hill, who continues to grow in stature.
Ball's now in near 5.
Simmons. Vincent Cott doing what he can to hold him up.
Roll, please. Don't line top of the ball.
And in the end, he worked too hard once he found himself on the pitch. Harry Williams, by the way, his first yellow card in 90 Premiership and European games. He's not what you'd call a serial offender, but he's got one now.
That's an impressive stat, really, isn't it? Especially for a front row forward.
Just coming up on the outside.
Interesting for me on this take, brilliant take by Hogg, but it looks as though Saracens are trying to hold him up, so potentially a tactic. Hogg does really well to just drop his centre of gravity, fight to the ground, and then spin and get that ball back towards his team.
Not around the man. Hit the seam, not around the
Warrior
man.
turned Chief, adding that extra threat that we've talked about.
Yeah, he got a bit of it behind as well. Tom, that we're going to disrupted one.
Shorten line out, Simmons in at scrum half, ready to hit and drive.
Simmons has it. Shuttled back to Cowan-Dickey. He did not give the most sympathetic of passes.
What stop, please?
Yeah, frustrating, isn't it? That's just too much on that pass. Again, Nick White potentially running a little bit too flat. Wanted that ball pulled back a little bit, but when you're running that fast, the ball's checked on your shoulder. It's really difficult to take.
Of course you can.
Because it's a scrum, here comes a new face. This is Enrique Piretto, 25-year-old Argentinian. Played for the Pumas at the World Cup. He is in temporarily to cover for the injuries to Thomas Francis and Greg Holmes, and he's into this scrum temporarily to cover for the absence in the front row of Harry Williams. They have sacrificed Ben Dave Ewers from the back row.
It was clear.
So you lose a fair bit of ballast from your team.
Just nice and slow. Nice and slow.
I think they want to keep their line out forwards on the pitch, and then a little bit of athleticism to make up for the extra number.
Watch back on, please.
In terms of Vermeulen and Simmons. Simmons now slots onto the blind side for this scrum with Saracens put in.
Shoulder, thank you. Crouch.
There's so much space in behind this scrum.
Bind.
Jack Knowles come up to defend the blind side, and Elliot Daly sat in behind. I wouldn't be surprised to see him put boot to ball and just pin him back into that corner.
And a bit higher, please. A bit higher, please. Watch stop, please. Watch stop. Watch your stop. Watch your stop.
Elliot Daly, Mo. And Stuart Hogg in splendid isolation at the moment.
Height. Crouch.
Yeah, and as an exemplary kicker of the ball, this is one of the easiest kicks first phase. If Sarries can secure that ball, give Spencer a good base to pass to him, there's so much space in the backfield.
Stuart Hogg trotting across now, trying to work out which way the threat will come. It's going to come to his left-hand side. Malins, again, that little step. Then forgot to take the ball with him.
Number 1.
Had the advantage for the scrum. We're allowed to play. Get around the outside, attempting to get around the outside. Really good from Cock there. Get that leg drive. Not only do they win the penalty, but he gets the angle to allow Spencer to pick and go.
So Barnsley, my side, the tight head really fighting to stay in that scrum on that occasion.
Okay, nice. His height is different to Harris, isn't it? He's a bit
definitely.
lower.
He's just a bit lower.
Yeah.
Conversation, by the way, is
Line
happening
yours,
between
please,
Wayne Barnes
Exeter.
and Tom Foley, who's one of the assistant referees, touch judges today on the far side. Christoph Ridley, the
Who's your receiver?
flag carrier, near side to us. There's Tom. One by Toje, Farrell. And then this is Daly using that boot, inviting Maitland's chase onto it. Jack Knoll had scuttled across from the opposite station. And then just a hint of the hideout from Maitland, certainly pointed out by the locals around us, but critically Wayne Barnes unmoved.
Nothing. No, still in. He's got there just in time. And use it!
Woodburn chasing. Mayland's positioning himself and then going under the initial tackle of Woodburn, but not of Hill. Vunipola. 8 on 8. Simmons drawing him backwards, and a Toje scrapping to get up to halfway.
No! Go!
Farrell. Pareto was the closest to him. White did well. But they're not so well on the floor.
Foot.
Came off a foot. So here we go with Daly. We know what he can do in those flashy coloured boots. What about George? White in there scrapping. Skelton. And then Farrell and Vunipola back to the fly half. Brad Barrett's closest to him, but he's looking for Maitland. And Chiefs will have the defensive line-up.
Yeah, just watching Saracens, as the kick goes up, they call Woodburn, and just look on the right-hand side how the three players stop him attacking. Mayland's at the back, just giving him some protection so he can secure the ball. That means they can attack off it. Nothing quite on at the end, so Farrell just puts the pressure back on Exeter and their line out.
Yeah, of course they can. Okay, let's
Strong
go.
tactics from Maylands as well, just hitting the deck and avoiding the tackle.
Keep the gap.
Already into the final 10 minutes of this first half, which is flying by. Just the only score so far. Nick White's try after 5 minutes, converted by Joe Simmons. And the scrum half clears it away.
So Barnsley at that last Saracens line out. Johnny Hill hooked the arm of Skelton after the contest. No impact, but just be aware of it.
Thanks, mate.
Again, more information coming in from Tom Foley.
You disrupt it.
As Harry Williams prepares to rejoin us. He's got another few seconds left.
Yeah. Well, he won the ball, that was a problem.
You always know it's a big game when you have a couple of referees holding the flags. Tom Foley and Christoph Ridley very adept at blowing whistles, but today flag waving. Ezekwe, who's buffed it about a little bit in the air, but he did well to keep his feet. Mako Vunipola driving forward, and Chiefs shuttling back, but Vunipola going off on his own little mini adventure here. Spencer, Farrell, Maylands, got a lot of work to do. Red shirts there quickly, but look at Simmons on the floor, and then Witten comes in with the boot, and there will be a penalty.
Penalty, here please.
It's a penalty to Saracens, but Farrell's going to get a bit of a telling off for refereeing the game.
You've got to let me referee the game, and I'll let you play. You would have had an advantage there with a decent field position. You screaming at me, you can't kick it.
I didn't see your advantage.
Okay, but you still can't scream at me. Happens again, I reverse it. Penalty, kicking, number 13.
So the penalty is for that slightly new law that you're not allowed to kick the ball through the ruck. You're only allowed to hook it back towards your own side. If you see entitled to go for this ball, but Witten just boots it out forwards, that's the penalty. But Farrell was a little bit keener to referee it himself.
Yeah, of course you can. What stopped
Unfortunate that as well, because it looks like he's trying to go past the ball and hook it back. It's just the angle at which has come off. I think it was also the tone in which Farrell shouted at Wayne Barnes, he can't kick it, that might have caused that sharp blow on the whistle.
Just make sure he's off.
Harry Williams back with us. He's served his time in the caller.
I don't know yet.
Enrique Piretto wanders off. We'll see him again, and Dave Ewers re-engaging also. Once we're done with this game today, we'd like you to help us pick the Premiership Team of the Decade. That'll form part of the chat in Gallagher Premiership tonight at 5:15. Rugby Tonight's on tour on New Year's Day in the safe hands, I say safe hands, of Matt Banahan and Freddie Burns. They're in charge of driving the camper van, looking ahead to the first weekend of 2020. And we start our new year in the Northwest. The Sale against Harlequins on Friday evening. Mark Wilson will be our guest.
It would be about the same position anyway. He's right-footed.
The breeze, definitely a Chiefs fan this Sunday afternoon. That's two in front of the posts that have drifted away off the boot of Owen Farrell.
I think the worry for Saracens is they've actually probably had the better of the game. They've got 60% of the possession. They're playing some good rugby, making a few mistakes, but they're not taking their points on offer. And you know at some point Exeter are going to hit their straps and are probably going to score here. They don't often come away without scoring multiple points, so Saracens need to take their opportunities.
Off your feet.
Barrett. Ali Devoto holding up his opposite number. Mako Vunipola held on to by Hill. Farrell, it was Vermeulen who came in to block the passage of the ball.
Yeah, not a bad decision this, to try and thread it through that Exeter defence. They're not really going anywhere. They're fizzing the ball about nicely.
A lot better, thank you.
But brilliant spot, just a little block. And then I think that's come off Elliot Daly's boot as well. So what a great return for Exeter.
Sam, 2 metres.
It's been over 2 years since Saracens last failed to score a point in the first half in any match. Chiefs are 2 minutes away from inflicting that on them again. White. Here goes Witten. He was swallowed up immediately.
Back you go now.
Bit of a hospital pass. No support. Drifting away with two big forwards on his inside, ready to snaffle him.
Back feet, take a step, 5. 5 and 4, take a step. Use it. No, no.
Nose pointing and gesticulating, and now you're shaking your head.
The Sarries line are just backing away as soon as they think that box is coming. Exeter had a 6 on 3 and about 20 metres, 30 metres to run in. I'd love to see them just pick that.
Farrell kicks.
Taken back, taken
Woodburn.
back.
Hogg gives it some welly. Malins again. Here goes Farrell. He's held on halfway by Hogg, and this is Taylor.
Watch him.
Skelton. Oh, he's managed to bust a hole there, and he's found Spencer, and Hogg did well. Critically, Hogg did well. But it's still Saracens pushing just before half-time. Barrett to Daly, Billy Vunipola. Jackson raised the link furthest away on that left-hand side. 30 seconds to go, and Chiefs thought they'd won it back, and they'll have a penalty, and they'll have a lecture in the headmaster's office as well. And the headmaster not at all chuffed.
Dave? Yeah, I want to talk to you. Okay. Okay. I don't need you, Brad. Thanks. I don't need you. I made a decision about the breakdown. I think there's interference. I think there's side entry. A reaction like that's not acceptable. You just spoke to me about their reaction. Now speak to your player about his reaction. Thank you.
Good old Wade.
Watch his stop. There's 11 seconds to play, OK? You will have time for the line out if you kick it.
Those Australians,
okay.
Got to watch them, mate.
Watch is still off. Watch off, please.
Any good scrum half has to ref the game. That's how it works.
Just look at this Farrell offload to keep the play alive.
Thanks, Andy. Got it.
Secure the opportunity. Takes in 2 players. Looks like he's going to go nowhere. And then they're on the front foot and playing. Eventually ends up one more shot to get a big try before the break.
In the line, then. In the line. There are 6 in there. Stay 2 metres. Thanks, Luke.
Exeter have worked so hard to keep it scoreless so far in this first half, but in the dwindling seconds, Saracens with one final opportunity to get things going, and they are going with Jamie George. Ball safely pocketed and over the line, and
what a tackle!
Can't get it down. Oh, that is momentous defence.
Oh, when you need your 10 to step up with a tackle. One of the smallest guys on the pitch. Brilliant setup from Saracens. They roll around the corner and Simmons gets his arms underneath, then gets his body underneath. Woodburn comes in to assist. Absolutely brilliant.
And listen to the roar at the end of all that. For the first time in over 2 years in any competition, Saracens pointless. Exeter have 7. They lead by 7 points to 0. Exeter's win at Welford Road last weekend took them to the top of the Premiership pile for the first time this season. Northampton hitching back above them yesterday.
OK, time your run, please.
But the Chiefs know top spot heading into the new year is in their hands, and at the moment they are heading back to the top. But Saracens with the wind and 40 minutes to do something about that. Probably worth reminding ourselves as well that they only really started to hit their straps last weekend, Sarries, in the second half against Bristol. It was 14-13 at half-time at Allianz Park.
Thanks, Alex.
Mark McCall's team won 47-13 at full-time. Second half, 33-0. They know how to play after the break. Ezekwe highest to Spencer, who spins away and engages Barrett, who brings in Billy Vunipola.
Anything clear there, anyone?
Joe Simmons again, where the fires are raging fiercely, Ben.
Yeah, I think it was just stripped.
Nothing
Exeter
clear,
fans
mate.
looking for a knock-on.
Atoje. Spencer.
Like
Quite got his angles right there. Right idea, Mo, but just angles wrong.
Yeah, it's a lovely little roller.
I don't know what happened.
Woodburn's up in the defensive line.
didn't know
Hogg's
how you
already
brother got
started
the ball,
going
mate.
because naturally the ball keeps going the same way.
I just missed it.
And he spotted it. And if that rolls into the corner, we're talking about what an unbelievable kick it is. That's a metre off. Unfortunate for Spencer.
I think it actually should have been a penalty to Saracens.
Okay,
Wayne Barnes just saying I missed
Let's
it.
keep that, okay.
But
Nice
certainly,
and slow.
I think Sam
Engage
Simmons
and
had his
wait.
hands on the ball, but as it landed on the floor, he continued with the ripping motion. Gets away with it.
Crouch. Bind.
It's a scrum that
Set.
does draw penalties from the opposition. What's happening to this one? Nick White told to get on with it. Simmons with Witten linking back up with the Australian scrum half. Jackson Ray was over the ball but couldn't profit from it. And then high.
And Skelton,
Thank you.
it's absolutely a high tackle. He's got to make an effort to drop. You can see arm wraps around the neck. It's not... He almost tackles him with his hip, doesn't he, at shoulder level, but he's a big man. Second time he's been done for a high tackle. He's just got to paint a better picture to the referee that he's actually dropping down. It comes in from behind.
Keep it up, buddy. Keep it up, Romero.
Johnny Hill, chief architect of this line out, but Maro Itoje got up there and very nearly spoilt the drawing, but it's just Chiefs' possession. Vermeulen adds a real carrying threat this season, Vermeulen. That's been ripped away, and this is Ezekwe. Barrett, oh, no, not far away. Barrett and Taylor breathing collective sighs of relief.
Mark, please.
As Woodburn skittles backwards.
Yeah, it's a great decision to send it in behind. And a brilliant chase. Hogg's done really well there if he can get back underneath it.
And instead it's Daly who was there first. Mako Vunipola. Farrell had to take it face high, and Malins then took a couple of tackles waist high. Ray. George. Billy Vunipola's lost it. Straight into the arms of Hepburn.
Oh, just the ferocity of both sides' defence is causing all these mistakes at the moment.
Let's play.
No, we're playing on. Wayne Barnes says let's go on. Owen Farrell wondering about the knock-on, but here goes Noel. Hogg up in support.
That's a high tackle.
Well, there was a knock-on. Wayne Barnes got info into his headphones.
First knock on by Will Skelton. That was
Farrell's
a
got
knock
to be a
on
little
there,
bit careful.
okay?
Nice to see him and
I didn't see it
Noel
clearly.
just patting
My
each other
fault.
on the head, but
First knock on.
he was upset with
First knock on by you, then by 13.
the missed knock on. That's the one Skelton did.
I like that Wayne Barnes has tried to play that advantage though, because as you mentioned, both teams, their defence is so strong that the only way this game is going to brighten up a little bit is by those counter-attack opportunities, those broken field runners. So it's good to see them trying to play.
Hold your weight on Barnes, please.
Big Billy today. 100th Premiership game.
Bind. Set. Ball's gone.
White.
Wasn't controlled by 8.
Simmons offers himself, or rather Hogg offers himself. Tackled by Barrett. White, Cowan-Dickey. This is Sam Simmons. Joe Simmons, Devoto. Woodburn. Williams not far away. And Dennis to Cowan-Dickey, tackled by Ezekwe. Atoje again trying to keep the ball up.
Fine,
Chiefs get it down and then they go again with Hepburn. White, Simmons, Devoto, and now Sam Simmons.
Don't touch a 9.
Hill slams it forward into the midriff of Billy Vunipola. Simmons, Woodburn accelerating, Witten outside him, and the
Just in the tackle, yeah.
ball knocked forward in the tackle
Just
from
in the
Maitland,
tackle,
but Maitland's tackle stopping the flow.
Yeah, he's so good at that, isn't he, Maitland? Just coming in and hitting that spot tackle. If Witten just holds his feet slightly, it's a good straight in from Woodburn.
Yeah,
if he just decelerates slightly, that ball goes. You've got Cowan-Dickey screaming down the wing against Maylands.
Take it, mate.
Yeah, I think Cowan-Dickey had overrun it as well.
It's hard to decide.
It's difficult because he knows he hasn't got the pace of the 2 men inside him, but
Saracens 3.
he just needed to hold back 5 metres, allow Witten just to put that in the air,
as well, aren't you?
pull it back slightly.
Well, Saracens making
Remember what we said about the
a
stability,
change in the front row. Titi Lamasatelli, American World Cup prop, is on. And Vincent Cock, once he's had this treatment, will be leaving us. Problems with the left shoulder.
Control at 8.
Yeah, so the ball put in by 9, how quick was that?
Yeah, normal. Didn't
off he
think
comes.
anything of it.
One World Cup prop
Yeah,
replaced
we
by
just
another.
spoke about it. Apparently, it looks fine. So I'm just his side, but I'll have a look. We're gonna have a look at it between the two of us. Obviously, we saw the end picture as well. It's just really slow. Okay, really slow. Stationary and then
Sarah's just a little bit down on numbers in the tight head department at the moment. Argentinian Juan Fagallo still a while away from full fitness. And we'll hope that that is no more than a knock for the South African tight head.
Bind.
Oh, now they want to say shit. Okay. We'll go again.
Space, please. Space, please.
Don't lose the bite. Let's go. Let's go. Big moment. Let's go.
Yeah, it is a big moment.
Let's go.
Saracens attacking scrum. Or rather, Chiefs attacking scrum, sorry.
Bind.
You can see down on the left-hand side, Jack Knowles actually stood off the pitch at the minute. He's looking for the crossfield. Maylands and Elliot Davey are just on the outside post, so there is so much space if Simmons hits it, which he's going to...
Here it comes, Noel chasing after it, but the kick not what was needed, and it was much too close to Maylands.
Yeah, he needed to send that another 15, 20 metres, and Jack Knowles underneath that. Look at this picture, so much space. He's tried to hit it nice and low, but it just needs to be on that 5 metre line.
Sarah's replacement.
So Maylands doesn't have any recovery time. 2
more Saracens changes. One in the pack.
Who's in?
One in the backs.
Hold on.
Ben Spencer
Hold on. Watch is still
off. Richard Wigglesworth on, and so is Ben Earl taking the place of Will Skelton.
Okay, watch you on.
So alterations in the Saracens back five, but Ezekwe, who's still with us, snaffles the line-up.
Ezekwe moving to the second row for Skelton. He's been turned over there. Great turnover from Karen Dickey.
Noel into the new man, Earl. Oli Devoto down by his shoelaces. And Simmons.
Thank you.
And now Hogg. Tackled by his compatriot Taylor. Chiefs penalty, not clearing away.
It's a brilliant bit of play from Oli Devoto. You mentioned how he had to reach for the ball. Taylor doesn't agree with the penalty. Just look how he takes it to the line and pulls it right back to Simmons, and that creates that 3-on-2 on the outside. As a result, those two players have to drift and drop and wait for the support to come from their inside and end up giving the penalty.
Yeah, and also that straightening line by Simmons. He's gone around the corner 3 meters, and then he just throws his outside shoulder, which makes Brad Barrett bite, and the timing of that pass is impeccable.
Not a bad kick, is it, as well? Right onto the 5-meter line. Saracens have had a couple of those that have gone 10 meters out. Big opportunity.
To the front, to Simmons.
Some more.
Karen Dickey's struggling to get that ball back, I think.
Yeah, Lamasateli got in the way, yeah. However, Vermeulen manages to rip it away. Within 5 meters, Hill!
Offside, Saracens.
Saracens offside, penalty on the way. Chiefs within touching distance. What about Ewers? Hepburn making sure that they have one more drive in them. And again, it's Ewers.
Hands away now! Hands away!
Oli Devoto looks interested. Still do the pack, however, and Sam Simmons slips up just short. Vermeulen goes, drives, scores! A big Chiefs try!
Oh, they're almost unplayable when they get down on your 5-meter line, because the patience, 3-4 times Saracens managed to repel them, but they're just waiting for that one error, that one mistiming in the defensive line. When you have to get off the line quickly, Wigglesworth goes a bit too quickly, Vunipola goes with him, and as Vunipola's trying to recover and step back onside, the pick comes, they win the collision, and Vermeulen ducks over.
They're just so good in this area, aren't they? You can see Hogg and Noel screaming for the ball out wide, but they're never going to pass it. They are absolutely deadly when they get close.
The wind was going that way.
First Premiership try. And potentially a very significant one. Think about that long run when he hasn't missed. This is a stiff test. Oh. If you had to have somebody kicking for your life at the moment, there's the young lad you'd pick. What a kick!
Yeah, it's unbelievable. We all know how amazing a kicker Owen Farrell is. We've seen him miss 2 sitters by his standard in the first half. Up steps Simmons, brilliant nudge from the touchline.
Now, what of Saracens? What do they have? 2 tries to nil down, 14 points to nil down. A little under half an hour to do something about it.
And use it, please.
Use it! Use it! Use it!
Ball out.
White, Malins, ready for it, gathers it, and then goes on a sprint and runs into Luke Cowan-Dickey, who is back on his feet, but not so Johnny Hill. Hurt himself. Farrell looking for Taylor. What's the bounce of the ball like? Oh, and Taylor almost dribbles it beyond the defence. And Woodburn needed to be alert. Quality of that Farrell kick.
Yes, lovely weight.
Yes.
Lovely weight and a great angle that he's put it straight into the stride of Taylor.
No.
Johnny Hill's not right. The medics need to get him off.
Yeah, he's stumbling down below us and he's getting medical treatment now.
Inside.
Chase with them.
And use it!
Yannis Kirsten and Don Armand held in reserve amongst the back five.
Inside all the time.
White again, not messing around, just
got a head injury here,
clearing it towards the terraces, and we're going to stop the game.
Stop. Yeah. And we got. No, he was inside. It was on the line. Okay, it's inside. It's a line out. But we've just got a head injury over here. Okay.
He's had such a brilliant season, Johnny Hill.
Thanks.
Known about him for a while. He scored a try in that final back in June, but he's one of those players who really just seems to have stepped it up another level this season, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. He's an
done it,
important part of the line out. He carries a lot. This is his injury. See, it's a friendly fire. Luke Cowan-Dickey,
No foul play.
Collides with him. Both going for the same tackle. Good to see him running off unaided, but certainly staggered as he tried to get back into the defensive line.
Yeah, I think he's leaning on the rut, and so he's legal. It's one of those odd ones.
Heading off for his head injury assessment, and Yannis Kirsten is on South African, who's been quick to make his impact in his first season here. Arrived from Pretoria and the Bulls. Let's have a chat with Alex Sanderson, who is watching down below us amongst the Sarries ranks. This is the kind of game you'd have loved to play in, Alex. It's all blood and thunder and guts and everything, isn't it?
Yeah, there's some big shots going in as well, isn't there, from both sides. So certainly there's no love lost on the field there today. But I guess the game has shown the difference between the two sides has been how effective they've been in R22 and how ineffective we have in theirs with the 4 opportunities and the 2 penalties that we missed. And the scoreline reflects that. I don't think that necessarily reflects the territory or the possession that the two teams have had in that first half, certainly.
Bringing on Alex Lazowski for Max Malins, who's not looking too well at the moment. What's you thinking about how you wrestle this back over the remaining 25 minutes?
Well, as we generally try to do anyway, we've got to step up our levels of intensity. We've had a chat about the breakdown at half-time, certainly the kick return, the breakdown following the kick return. They've been slowing our ball up a lot, which has been meaning they've got good numbers in the line, able to get 2-man shots in. We need a bit of a break. Something like this from Alec Daly would be nice.
Good
if we can finish this one off.
Brilliant.
But it's all going to start from territory, from pressure, from persistent pressure, and too often we've let them off the hook. 90% of what we've done in getting to the positions that we got in the first half was good, and then actually finishing them off, making sure our conversion rate is up to our creation rate.
Top man. Cheers, Al.
Cheers, Nick.
Beyond George to Billy Vunipola. This is much better to get into the red zone. They now need to back it up with that accuracy, and Claret can't manage it. Referee said it's gone backwards. Pretty sure the Sandy Park faithful won't agree.
All the way you can, Exeter. Let go, Exeter. Good.
Vermeulen has to step away. And then Taylor's loose. And Woodburn snaffles it. It's what Alex Sanderson was talking about. They're going halfway up the ladder, but not quite getting there, Mo.
Yeah, absolutely. The key for me there was you're saying conversion needs to be up to the creation rate, and they are creating things. We saw the opportunity in the first half when Owen Farrell puts boot to ball. They are breaking them down, but they just need to have another 2-3 phases.
Take a step.
And you'll see classic Saracens.
Daly peering up.
That is knocked on.
He's lost out because the ball was knocked on just before he was about to catch it.
I think for me as well, interestingly, A lot of these Saracens players probably won't have been in this position. They're used to having that pressure, having that possession, and coming away with points. Very rarely, you said it, 2 years.
They're just looking at Daly's drift on this pass to get outside Jack Knoll. Really smart. England's fullback shifted there. He's been playing on the wing, but the loss of Malins means he steps into that fullback berth and immediately comes up with a break.
I don't want you on the floor.
It's part of the Wasps. Sorry, Ben. It wasn't that interesting. Go on.
No, it wasn't. I was just trying to shut up, Nick, to be honest.
No, what I had to say wasn't that interesting. You were fascinating.
Slowly.
Yeah, here you go. Here's the stats for Saracens. Visits to opponent 22, 6, and 0 points. That's so telling. They've not been in a battle like this where they've come up with 0 points, like you mentioned earlier, for over 2 years.
Stay close, stay behind.
Yeah, it's a real tribute to Chiefs' defence. Maitland to Barrett, Farrell, and now Daly on the other side, and he's done well. Wigglesworth, Ray. Just a little bit of urgency from Saracens, which they need.
Yeah, a little bit of urgency and a little bit of freedom throwing these passes.
Good work.
Mako Vunipola. Dragged to the floor by Jacques Vermeulen, one of the try scorers. Nick White with the first in the first half. Oh, and Sarries again
stand up in backfield,
looking for the slenderest of gaps that they might exploit. Vunipola with the latest, stopped by Dennis. Wigglesworth, Farrell, Daly, the kick. Taylor will hair after this. Hogg has it covered.
22.
There's space in behind there, isn't there? But you've got to be more accurate with your kick, because you know that Hogg's going to be scampering across. You've got to keep it in the field of play so that he can't just give him an easy out sliding onto the ball. That goes where he wants it to and lands on the 5-metre line. Taylor's got an opportunity to score. If he doesn't score, Hogg has to slide into touch. They get the line out anyway. As a result, pressure all relieved.
A bit higher, isn't it? Okay.
Gallagher Premiership tonight.
Really
once we're done
really
here,
nice
Ben's been picking his Premiership team of the decade. We've been giving him some help. He's been needing it. Who's been your Premiership scrum half of the decade, mate?
Oh,
put you on the spot.
You have. I really like Reiner, to be honest. I think he's been brilliant, but Danny Kerr also, for me, like, he's been fantastic over the last 10 years. Yeah. So I think out of my 4 options that you put on Twitter, it's got to be him.
I hadn't thought of those two.
Rugby tonight on tour, by the way, featuring a couple of individuals, Freddie Burns and Matt Banahan, as we look ahead to Bath and Gloucester in the new year.
To make sure everyone's all right.
And we start our new year Sale against Quins on Friday evening. Mark Wilson's our guest. Saturday, nice and quiet at Kingsholm for that West Country derby.
Okay,
Gloucester and Bath, and then on Sunday we will be at the Rico for one of the Premiership's newer derbies, Wasps against Northampton.
No!
What a counter-up.
No. Followed by Lazowski, has his old Wasps teammate Elliot Daly for support, and it's cleared away.
Just the effect that had, that counter
up. Can't pick up the ball. That's
get the line out thrown out. They've relieved the pressure with the kick.
Just to underline that change while we were nattering, Sam Hill is on for Ollie Devoto in Chiefs midfield.
Open up in the back, please. Okay, please, Exeter. Keep the gap, Nick.
Barrett hit the arm early.
Full entry. And hit the arm in here.
Toji just taking the arm.
Going behind the supporter, he's not taking
there, just slapping the arm across, causing the fumble.
It's a great spot by the officials, to be fair.
Brad Barrett, incidentally, the only man playing on the pitch today who was part of the last Saracens side not to score any Premiership points in a game. 2010 against Wasps, that long ago. That's what they're trying to avoid right now. but at the moment it's Sam Simmons and the Chiefs windmilling away towards their line. Knoll. Now Hogg. Woodburn's not far away. Lazowski brings him down. Right at the start of the decade that Saracens last failed to register a point. 20 minutes left here. Woodburn. White. Simmons, and here's the new man Hill. Maro Itoje, quick to say hello.
Off your feet now.
Joe Simmons flung over the top to Woodburn. Maitland dragged off the ball by Hogg. It's been a good scrap. All Scottish affair between Hogg and Maitland today. The Australian White to Woodburn. Tackled by Lazowski. Dennis. Cowan-Dickey. Again, look at Barrett manning the barricades.
Tackle!
Exeter in danger of overplaying. Oh, as I say it, ball's been stolen.
There you go. And Wigglesworth herring after this one, and Simmons has to get back. Who's the quickest? Oh, the ball drifting away. Has anyone touched that down? And Simmons made sure in the end it was him. But Farrell's kick, again, causing some alarm.
Yeah, off that turnover, brilliant play, spotted nobody in the backfield. All of Exeter are up in the attacking line. And a great kick, lovely weight on it. Look at the pace from Wigglesworth. Fair play to Simmons as well. Had to play it before the line. He couldn't chance letting that roll over into the dead ball before putting it down.
Just think Saracens' defence stepped up a gear there, but Exeter a little bit guilty of their decoy runners not being a viable option. So as a result, as they played it behind them, Saracens just accelerated through the line, caught them, and then once the defence was on top, Exeter tried to chase it rather than saying, look, hasn't quite worked out, let's play the percentages, get back down into Saracens' half. They carried on with it, and they paid the price, and Jamie George just trying to gee his troops up, a little bit slow walking to the scrum. He knows this is the point in the game where they can turn things. If they don't come away with something from here, it's going to be very, very difficult for Saracens.
Bind. Set.
Big moment. Richard Wigglesworth, Premiership career, spilling into a third decade. Wrestling with White, and White's got in front of him. He's behind the ball, so Billy Vunipola brings it away. Itoje looking for it. Chiefs may well have won it back. Vunipola went in with the ball, and it was Devonshire ball at the end of it all. Cowan-Dickey, half a dozen Chiefs turnovers.
It's still in there.
Wigglesworth fuming with how he was manhandled by Nick White before White got into position to make that tackle on Vunipola.
Back you go. Back feet. And move. There's the ball.
Such a difficult place to get out of with the wind that we've talked about so much. This bottom corner. Hogg's in the pocket, he has to hit touch. If this comes from White, he has to hit touch. Don't allow the counter.
He did, just.
Well, actually, even if it had landed slightly infield, because it was there, he gave Knoll enough room to tackle Taylor into touch if Taylor was forced to play it. It's a brilliant, brilliant kick.
And number
3 changes. Rees, Carey and Nick Tompkins on for Saracens. Matthew Vunipola makes way, and that's Alec Hepburn, who gives up his place to Ben Moon. Just recently played in his 250th game for the club. Vunipola, Wigglesworth, Farrell opening up a little bit here. Taylor crashing it up over the 22. Carey was there to create some space for Wigglesworth, who finds Ben Earl, one of Saracens' star men over the course of this season so far. Earl and more, maybe now. Lazowski to Taylor. Wigglesworth, this is looking much more like it. Here goes Carey, fed by Itoje. Wigglesworth. Saracens have taken more time than they would have wanted to open their account in the West Country, but they are at the counter here.
The ball a long time, lifted.
Farrell accelerates, involves the new man Tompkins. These are the areas that Alex Sanderson was talking about. Can they convert this possession? Creating the platforms, what do they do with it? Tompkins back to Farrell. Oh, he's been pushed back over his 22, and look at this. Look at the defence and Jacques Vermeulen. Vunipola. Wigglesworth, Taylor. And then Sam Hill comes in with the hit. Jackson Ray.
Not now.
It's not often you see Saracens so close to the try line push back in the manner that they have been just now.
It's the fact that Chiefs just keep going forward, keep going forward. Often when you're on your own line or in your own 22, you hesitate and see what the opposition are doing. The Chiefs just harassing Saracens at the moment.
Taylor had to go for the speculative, it went backwards. And Chiefs get the scrum, and listen to the roar.
It's exactly what we'd expect of all the great Saracens sides over the last few years. When you really need to dig something out to lift the intensity an extra 15%. Look at White here, in the eye line, they can't go wide. If they'd stopped there, they would have been beaten on the outside, but because they're high up, nothing Saracens can do, and then they keep going forward again. Every time Saracens offload the ball, someone else is taking those extra steps and catching them behind the game line.
A little glimpse of Julian Salvi there, celebrating top left. First out of his seat, there he is. He's in charge of Chiefs defence, which has been like a big bolted door today.
Oh, it's been incredible. And it also started forcing Saracens to try and play. They're being driven back, so they're throwing offloads. Instead of winning the gain line, they're trying to offload going on the back foot. And for me, that's so difficult to do.
Harry Williams off for a head injury assessment, so again we say hello to Enrico Pieretto, the Argentinian who's joined recently as injury cover. Naro Itoje, who took a blow in the middle of all that, taking some time to get back to his feet.
Make sure everyone's all right. Just nice and slow.
Got a year when he became a Premiership champion, European champion, and was man of the match in perhaps England's greatest ever performance. That World Cup semi-final against the All Blacks in Yokohama.
Slowly and wait for the ball.
He was in Yokohama as well, George Cruz. Wondering if he's going to be involved here today.
Watch on, please, watch on. Crouch.
That quite possibly was a tactical timeout from Naro Itoje as well. Let his team regroup and refocus.
Stay behind the ball, thank you. You. Turn 90, same ball. That's just a drive. It's just a drive up the loose end. Same ball.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. No step left.
I just think Chiefs now need to complete the job, having
I just thought he won that
repelled
on that side.
Saracens.
That's why just a drive. Fine
with the ball. They need to make sure they get the field position results as well.
Same patience.
Don't want to overplay down here.
You heard the roar of the crowd just now as well, but what you didn't see was every single member of the Chiefs team on the field ran into where the incident happened and were just high-fiving each other. It really did mean a lot. They are pumped.
An old scrap at scrum half between those two at the moment. Noel looking to get beyond Tompkins. Tompkins still battling away over the ball.
And use it.
As Kirsten came in thinking that he might be needed. What about Ewers?
And use it!
Daly. And a crowd of players comes away with it. Wigglesworth, Farrell, Lazowski.
No knock on. Yes.
Maitland. Daly. Oh, Earl, he's quick and he's got Daly for support. And here goes Daly. One more man to beat. Couldn't do it. Ball back inside to Wigglesworth. And again, Simmons leading the defensive effort. Once more, however, Saracens with some hope. Got away with it. George had to be quick because Noel is.
No, don't go in there. Don't go in there.
Carey. Atoje runs into Moon. No way through Moon. Exeter's big stick of Devonshire rock, and he has been for so long.
No, no.
Farrell. Kirsten up quickest. Fast feet of Tompkins. It's a familiar picture, this, isn't it? Certainly in the second half. They've won the penalty, however, Saracens. Farrell flings it away on the bounce, picked up neatly by Daly. That was loose, knocked on by Taylor, but they have the penalty.
Not part of the ruck.
What a pickup by Daly as well.
Okay, you just can't touch 9.
13 phases though, and they're not going anywhere for it. It's a cheap penalty to give away by Cowan-Dickey, playing the 9, but just brilliant defence. You see Tompkins step in 2. As soon as he steps 1, someone else is there. He steps another, someone else is there. That's been the story of Exeter's defence all game. So impressive.
Don Armand coming on for Jacques Vermeulen. Don Armand, so much a part of what they've done towards the latter part of this decade, but Jacques Vermeulen indicating that he'll be very much part of the new one.
Yeah, the last person really you want to see coming onto the field is Armand, particularly line out on your own line. He's so good in this area.
Into the final 10 minutes, and that was won by the captain, Dennis.
Yeah, lift from Armand, he makes the read in front. Dennis and him, that combination. They can't go to the front. They know about the athleticism of Armand and the good understanding of where the ball's going, but they didn't want the kick to end up there.
Backwards.
And again, we hark back to the words of Alex Sanderson when we spoke midway through this half. Still creating, still not converting.
Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be some harsh words, I'm sure, in analysis on Monday.
And use it. Hold.
All credit to Exeter, though. The defensive effort that they've put in has really stunted this Sarries attack, which is just world class. We know it is.
Another Taylor trying to barrel his way through. The ball got lost forward, however, and White finds Noel. And Daly in a little bit of space here that he might enjoy. Maitland swirling around menacingly away to his right-hand side. And he's the first over the ball. Picked up by Billy Vunipola, flung back to Farrell. Lamasateli.
Smart play by Noel. He just backed off, allowed his defenders to come across and then made the hit when he had more cover.
Just looking at the statistics, nobody on the Chiefs side of the ledger has made a huge number of tackles. Sam Simmons has made 17, that's impressive enough. But it's been a collective effort. Everybody has reasonable numbers next to the name.
That's the thing. It's that whole line coming towards you. So people are realising they're under pressure. They're trying to get round it. They're making passes. But as soon as they do, that's a great shot tackle from Jack Noel. As soon as they do that, Maratoji just getting an injury here. Another hit comes in to the next guy, so he tries to offload it. You run out of numbers to resource the breakdown. They're trying desperately to make something happen.
We've had a look at it. There's nothing clear, mate.
They're playing right on the edge as well, aren't they, Exeter? You hear Wayne Barnes talking to them loads, saying, get out, go back now. They really are on the edge of what's legal, and that's what's slowing this Saracens play down.
Well, Saracens are making an interesting replacement here. They're bringing on the hooker Jack Singleton, but keeping Jamie George on the pitch and removing instead Maro Itoje. That might be, again, another head injury assessment, looking at the way he's heading off down the tunnel with the doctor. It is an HIA we're hearing. Jack Singleton, one of those hookers who is quite happy waltzing around in the back row, very mobile forward.
Just two balls. Just get rid of that one. Just get rid of that one.
What do you think of this Exeter team that we first saw back in 2010, that opening game here in the Premiership against Gloucester, and all the hope and expectation that they brought with them? And on course right now to end the decade, top of the lot, top of the pile, Premiership leaders going into 2020, and they've drawn the penalty. Hill, who's been around for so many of those years. Simmons drifted over the top to Hogg, who's been brought in recently to add this kind of fizz. Knoll. Held on to by Lazowski. One more. Chiefs score, and that surely will be that.
That's advantage over Nick.
Driven up determinedly by the South African Kirsten. Goodness me, White.
What a tackle from Farrell. Went hunting, chased it down and snuffs out the attack.
Ewers. Captain Dave Dennis. Hill. And Ben Moon's had better moments.
I reckon you might be on your knees, Doug.
Yeah, just slightly run out of option here. Sees the space. I understand the pass. It's a good floating pass, arguably forward. But he just saw all the space in front of him, didn't quite know what to do. Took his eyes off it.
Some great interplay in all that. Dave Ewers, everyone expecting him to cart the ball up and be the big runner, but just some soft hands, puts it through. Kirsten benefits with an arm tackle, which he's able to run through and drag the man with him.
Still got 5 minutes, didn't finish yet.
Harry Williams has failed his head injury assessment, we're being told. Enrico Pareto will therefore be with us to the conclusion. And as things stand, Saracens heading to their first away defeat in the Premiership this season. Only losses on the road have been in Europe, 2 of them in Paris and Limerick, to Racing and to Munster. Up to this point, they have been ironclad in the league. Not ironclad today. And this is Elvis Tyone, who's actually picked out for special praise by Rob Baxter after the win at Welford Road last Saturday. And he takes the place of the newly crowned Centurion, Luke Cowan-Dickey.
Great game from Cowan-Dickey, his constant threat at the breakdown, slowing the ball down, turning it over.
Watch on. Come on. Slowly. Crouch. No worries, no worries, no worries.
Sarries are set up to strike here.
Still slowly.
I'm expecting to see Elliot Daly on that outside arc again, trying to get on the outside of Woodburn, linking up with Maitland on the corner.
Set.
Drive from the Chiefs, disrupting the ball. White hacks it away. Exeter possession.
Big moment.
Thanks very much.
No Maro Itoje, they've got Billy Vunipola in the second row at the moment. with Nick Ezekway. But the power driving through from the Chiefs.
Line out, Exeter ball.
Fortuitous moment as well. Nick White's just put boot to ball. It's bounced off Richard Wigglesworth's shin into touch, which is what those smiles were all about.
Nick White, the scorer of the first try after 5 minutes here. There's only been one since in the second half, scored by Jacques Vermeulen, and still Sarries look for their first points. Singleton to Farrell. Lazowski accelerates. Maitland's beyond him. He's got Daly away to his right. Sarries combining the flyers, and the latest of them couldn't keep his footing, but still possession. Lazowski, oh, that's clever to pick out Taylor, and Earl was offering some support, but before Taylor could get the ball away, Tom Foley saw a foot in touch. And maybe now it's all coming out, all of that frustration that the Chiefs have talked about over the last couple of months.
Williams doing something. He's not even on the field. Seeing a little bit of afters there. I think White just holding Taylor down. Taylor just gets up and flips him, and that's just the spark, the only spark that was needed. But there's Harry Williams come in from the subs bench.
I can deal with Harry Williams, not you. I will deal with it. I agree. Go away, please. Billy, can you go back on the halfway line, please?
Well, it's not been a rivalry for long, only since October 2010, but my goodness, they have been busy packing in the history since then.
Well, Billy Van der Bol's about to be sent off here for not doing what he's told. Fortunately, one of his players come and rescue him. This is exactly the reason we've got Wayne Barnes refereeing this game.
Just standing up, and Nick White, and they've just fallen over each other. Don't need you. We've got them people running in. What I have got is Harry Williams running in off the bench and escalating that through the roof. Correct. So I am penalising Exeter for that, and I'm sending Harry Williams off. OK.
He's already been yellow carded, and not having had one yellow card in 90 matches, he's about to get a second, which will stack up into a red one.
He's not on the field, so they're not going to lose a player.
Let me tell you what's happened, OK? I think that's just a coming together between two players, nothing in it. Of course, other players get excited about that, but what I'm not acceptable is as a replacement coming in and escalating everything. So the penalty is against Exeter, and I'm sending off Harry Williams, OK?
He's now looking for Harry Williams, who
Harry Williams
has gone AWOL. Here he is. Come on, Harry. Take your porridge.
Penalty it will be to
He just gets into the showers first.
Got
to say, Wayne Barnes has been brilliant today. He clearly now the impact of that red card apparent. But Wayne Barnes, who surely would have refereed the World Cup final, but for England's progression into it, has just controlled what could have been a little bit of a bonfire today. Absolutely impeccably.
Yeah, absolutely. Good calmness, using his experienced referees who are his assistants. You're right, well, that's going to cost Harry Williams, isn't it? He'll go to the disciplinary now, and he'll undoubtedly face some sort of sanction.
Watch on.
Saracens still pressing.
Well, they want this bonus point, don't they? Losing bonus points on offer.
They don't want to be blanked for the first time in a decade, and they're doing what they can. Penalties coming. Still a swirling, gathering red menace. Once again, that Chiefs defence. Wigglesworth and Farrell with the kick. He'll be looking for Maitland. What's the accuracy like? Maitland can't get there. Ball's loose. Gathered in by Steenson, who's on. It's a Saracens penalty.
Changes by replacement hooker.
Replacement hooker's Elvis Tyone.
Changes by.
Hogg replaced by Steenson, by the way.
Don't change your button.
He's a man who knows all about the history of this place. One of the three originals, one of those who was part of that championship winning effort all those years ago. Moon and Dolman and him. Two minutes to go. Collected by Ray, and a collective effort. Everybody involved. The backs involved, Wigglesworth involved. But look at Tyone and look at the Chiefs trying to hold them up.
It will be a penalty try.
It's a penalty try.
Entry, killed the ball, penalty try.
And 90 seconds away from being rendered pointless for the first time in a decade. Saracens have a significant 7 points finally, because it pulls them within losing bonus point range, and it pulls them back with a minute to go within punching range.
Yeah, Ewer's coming in from the side. They get a great drive on. Tyone first there. Just repels it slightly. And there's Ewer, as you see, coming in from that far side, staying over the back, straight in front of Wayne Barnes. And he stopped the clock as well because of the huddle that Exeter made. No conversion because it's a penalty try. And they've got to survive the last frantic, at least 55 seconds with 14 men.
Steenson drops it into the 22, into the arms of Lazowski.
Use it.
Cleared by Wigglesworth. This is Joe Simmons.
Off your feet now.
One of those young players who will carry this Exeter side into the new decade. And the final word of a Premiership decade, spoken with the hint of a Devonshire accent. One of the teams of the decade, the Chiefs, will head into a new one, top of the table. 2020 vision.
Yeah, brilliant performance from the Chiefs at home. They were helped by some inaccuracies by Saracens early on, but take nothing away from them. They fronted up physically and they defended like the Saracens teams of great that we've raved about. Maybe they've set the bar a little bit higher today with that performance. Every time Saracens tried something, a black shirt was in their face, driving them back. But credit to Saracens for how they stuck at it.
Yeah, frustration for Saracens, but in the end, the losing bonus point, Mo.
Yeah, and to be fair, probably deserved. Defensively, they were pretty strong throughout the game. Obviously, a bit of inaccuracy, like we mentioned, especially when they got into the 22. But what a word on Joe Simmons and how important that held-up try was in the first half as well. Just fantastic play.
Well, funny you should mention that, because it's man of the match time. And it was very close between the two Simmons brothers.